Our conditions still majority bearish, currently at 10-4, building a little bit of momentum here. Had a decent day yesterday where we pushed back into this supply location, and 57.67 is the upper end of that range. So building, getting some support now in this current trend. Seeing a majority bullish now in S&P 500. We're seeing futures up slightly this morning, and that trend over here on this daily chart is starting to push back into that buy location, almost back to majority bullish, but sitting neutral. Still some bearish potential tones of this trend in the rally off the bottom. Now, I've had a pretty decent rally running into some resistance areas here, and we'll watch to see if we get some continued follow through, but we are definitely gaining some momentum. We could see a pullback, starting to shift again towards that more bullish tone now. And we'll see if breadth is giving us any confirmation here. Still seeing that sit right around that 40 range, 38, 39, and so didn't push it up higher much yesterday, and so still seeing that 40% to the downside. Stocks above their 50-day moving average, meaning 60% are still below that, but getting a little bit of a turn here. That was at 14 yesterday. That's now turned back to 13, so getting a little bit of strength. VIX continuing to slide, 17. That still can be relatively elevated based on where it's been. It can get that all the way down into that 12, 13 range when we really get into some strong rallies. But as this is continuing to show less and less volatility, markets are moving the other direction to that upside. VIX can be aware of when you start to quiet things down versus a lot of real volatility when that starts to get wide. SHY, let me move this back just a little bit. SHY still majority bullish right here. Trend neutral on the 1 hour time frame, so seeing a little bit of a pullback here on SHY. That is the short end of the yield curve, 1 to 3 year treasury. TLT, the long end of that yield curve, is also showing some weakness, which means rates are going higher. We can see those on these next two charts here, where we have the 2 year treasury sitting at 4%. So getting back, finding some support here around that 618. Still a bullish trend where we're connected to this high point, this low point, pulling back into that corrective zone. That's 382 to 618 block right here is a reversal location where stocks can often, or anything tradable, it can find some support inside those ranges. So we're seeing the 2 year treasury starting to find some support here, as well as the 10 year. And we've almost got that back to, we do have it back to majority bullish on rates. We'll see if this becomes an issue where the 10 year, 2 year starting to turn back up again, back to 435. Dow Jones Industrial Average similar to the S&P, running through really that supply block, and this actually, we can turn this back to green, and probably should have a couple of days ago, to where we're just simply looking for where is that support resistance. That's an ugly color. There we go. So now we are getting some support, seeing majority bullish, seeing that trend as it's starting to work towards the bottom. We can see buying activity where we get this lower low, and then we get a higher low and get some support, and then we break out of that zone right here. So now we've got this acting as some potential support where buying has come in, and those buyers may protect those positions. We'll see if that's the case now. And again, that's why we're seeing trend, or an area of trend now that builds a little bit more confirmation to that upside, and pushing that direction back up to that 426 on diamonds. Triple Qs 491, similar price location, running back into supply at this location here, 491 on triple Qs. IWM, the Russell 2000, majority bullish. Most of those indices we're looking at here are majority bullish at 12 and 2 on the 1 hour time frame. Daily time frame getting a little bit of reprieve. These just, when we start to get really wide like this, and we start to see a day or two, starts to shift that real short-term trend down here. You can see that just barely turning up, turning green. It's a bit more reactive. That shorter end average is the most reactive, so that's kind of what we want to see, is just a visual representation of where we at in the trend. Are we pretty wide in the trend? Are we compressed in the trend? And those become some of the decision points, the wide locations and the compression locations. And so we're getting a bit of a wide location here on Russell 2000. And along with all the other markets, we're seeing oil finally blip back up here to that green range. We talked about that yesterday. Now it's moved to majority bullish on the 1 hour time frame and finding some additional momentum. Now keep your eye on those oil stocks, oil names, energy names are probably going to start filtering to the top here on USO on oil. Let's jump over here and take a look at gold. Gold having a bit of a pullback. That 1 hour time frame starting to compress back down again. That's what we talk about. Those rallies, those compressions were very wide. Gold's had a huge run, and we'll see how much more demand we can actually see in gold to push it even higher from these levels. Be watching for some kind of a retracement opportunities for buy-ins at pullbacks in gold. Still SLV similar type price pattern. A couple of stock names to consider this morning. We've got RSG, nice confirmation bar here in the momentum zone and also increased volume. Could see some continuation on RSG. Also seeing Freddie Mac coming in to the play here. We've got nice increased volume majority or price moving back into the momentum zone here on Freddie Mac as that's in the housing space. 19 stocks in that new buy list today. If you don't have access to that, you can join the free Discord server, which is a link in the description, and get you all the settings for the screen criteria as well as your chart layouts and be able to follow along with this method. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.